Hi, I'm Mike from Scoutadelic, and how can you tell time with the sun? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Mike from Scoutadelic, and come on, subscribe to the channel. There's tons of ideas and inspiration that might spark your scouting into a whole different area. So just click the red button that says subscribe, and yeah, you'll be accessing tons of free activities, games, you name it. Now this month I met over Zoom the amazing Darrell, who showed me how to do a really cool activity with a sundial. So here's how we go. What are you going to teach me and everyone else watching today?
All right, so what we're going to learn today is actually a technology that's over 3,000 years old.
Wow.
It's a sundial. And so
nice.
For almost as long as people have been looking up at the sky, they've been telling the time of day by the sun. And it was about 1,500 years BC that the Egyptians are first recorded as having used a sundial to have an actual tool to tell time by the sun.
No way! Oh my goodness, mate. Obviously I've seen a few sundials, but I've never really used them. I think it's because nowadays we've just got a watch, so it's easy done.
Yeah.
Easy done. But that sounds really cool. So what do we need to make a sundial then?
All right, so you can go incredibly basic.
Okay.
You can go as simple as a paper plate and a pencil. Will actually give you a very rudimentary sundial.
Okay.
We're going to go a little bit more complicated than that today. We're going to make it slightly more durable, but still not too crazy. And then you can go as sophisticated as having, like, you'll see sometimes in parks they'll have like a brass plate. The needle in the middle is actually called a gnomon.
Okay.
And so in a very sophisticated sundial, it'll actually have a specific angle that you'll point the gnomon at. And that will just make it a little bit more precise.
Oh wow!
And as you'll see as we're going through, we'll talk about some of the changes that will actually happen because it's all based on the sun.
Yeah.
And as the year goes on, the Earth rotates, the Earth changes a little bit on its angle, and so the sun will actually be in a different spot in the sky, which is why we have seasons. And so in the different seasons, your sundial will actually need to be recalibrated if you want it to be very precise.
Oh, nice. Okay, I quite like this, and I like the fact, like you said, there's the basics where you can have like just a paper plate, and then you can move up if you want sophistication. You can get brass tools. So what do we need to do first then? What am I? Yeah, I know you said that it was a bit. We're doing like it's not like the paper plate version. It's a little bit more trickier. Be warned, I'm not that great at tricky things. It's taking me years to learn the friendship knot, so I don't know.
So what we're going to start off with, basically, you really need two things. You need a flat surface, we're going to use our cardboard for, and then you need the gnomon, which in this case we're going to just use another piece of cardboard to create the needle on it.
Right. Okay.
So you don't need to make it a circle. You could use whatever shape you've got, because ultimately you just need where the shadow lands.
Yeah.
I like the circle because it gives a nice shape to look at, and it's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay. So how do we make the circle then?
So there's a couple different ways you could do it. You could put something down that's already circular and trace it out.
Okay.
Or you can use a drafting compass where it's got like the needle and the pencil, and you can do that way.
Yeah.
If you're lacking that, really simple, just a push pin.
Okay. Yep.
Piece of string, and then whatever you're going to use to make the circle. In this case, a pencil.
Okay.
And then you actually will look at your paper, kind of go approximately center.
Yeah.
And you're just going to push the pin into the paper.
Okay.
Now be careful. If the pin sticks out the back, you don't want to poke yourself with it. So you might want to have something to set it on.
Yeah.
So you'll want your string to be long enough so it goes from the center out close to the edge of the square, so that you get a nice, basically as big of a circle as you can get. For mine, because I've got the extra bit, you just hook it onto the push pin, or you push it underneath the pin, in that case, and then you're just going to put your pencil into the loop, apply a little bit of pressure, not so much that you pull the pin out, and then this will keep you in space, so as you're drawing your circle around, it should end up with a pretty clean circle.
Shockingly, it does actually look like a circle. I'm impressed with that. Oh, well, if there's only one thing I've learned today, it's actually I'm really cool at making a circle now on code. Right, okay. So I'm guessing I need to cut this out.
Yeah, so next thing you're gonna do, just cut the circle out, and then this piece you can set aside. We're gonna use it later though. And then the nice thing about using the pin is that now you know exactly where the center of your circle is, because that's gonna come in handy in a few minutes.
Ah, nice. I like this then. So
if you just trace a plate, you've got to kind of figure out where the circle is, the center is.
Right, okay. So it's better with the strict. So my question then is, so if you you said that you could do this like a really basic version on a paper plate, you'd have to work out then on that paper plate where that center marking is then, yeah?
Yeah, and the easy way to do that actually is you would just take a ruler and you would just put the ruler across, figure out how wide it is, and then you mark the center point. And then you turn the circle 90 degrees, you put the ruler back down, and now you know what number the center was. You put a mark there, and then the two marks should line up more or less to the center. What's next? What do I need to do? We're going to take this scrap that we had from our previous cut. Okay. And then, because I already started it on an angle here, I'm just going to cut along and kind of make a bit of a triangle that's sort of a steep pin like this. Right, okay, all right. Does it matter how long lengthwise it is? Lengthwise, not really. You don't want it too wide because then it can cause weird distortions of your shadow. Right, you want a fairly good point at the end though, because that point is going to give you a really good spot to mark when we do our calibration for the time. All right, so now with this, you got this edge that's kind of 90 degrees with the edge here. That is going to point away from you when you put your gnomon on the center. And so this 90-degree corner is actually going to sit right on where you marked your center, or where your center point is. So that's going to provide you with a nice clean center point. This is where you have the option, if you have a glue gun, which I happen to have, you can glue it in place. If you have tape, you can tape it in place. As long as it's sticking up more or less straight, you should be okay. Okay. Ooh, look at it's the little things in life that make me happy, but. So I've done that then. So what's our next venture? What do we need to do here? All right. So this is where you're kind of done with the initial setup. It's that simple, really. Oh, nice. The next thing would be to do the calibration. Unfortunately, the calibration is actually a full day affair, because what you would want to do is at the first light, basically. You would find a spot outside that's nice and clear. You got lots of sunlight. Make sure it's a sunny day too, because you'll need the sun to actually tell the time by the sun. Yeah. But yeah, so what'll happen? I'm gonna kind of turn this a bit so I'll use my light that's above me that's creating. You can see, like, as the day would go on, the sun changes position in the sky, your shadow would move across the board. So what you would do is you would find a spot to put this where the sun is going to be shining on it. And you always want to put the top of your, like, where it would be pointing away from you if you've got the perfect 90 degrees. You want to put that to true north. So not magnetic north, but true north. So a compass isn't going to do you good to figure out where you need to go. You're going to need to go off of the map. And that's because true north is where the actual rotating pole is. And so because the Earth is rotating, we want to make sure that's pointed towards true north. And then as the sun moves across the sky at each hour, so you want to set an alarm on your clock. Unfortunately, you need a clock to calibrate your sundial. And so every hour. So every hour you'll go out and you'll say, okay, when I looked at this, my shadow is here. So you'll put a little tick, and then you'll write the number. So say it's 7 a.m., you write a 7. And then the next hour, you put another tick and you go 8 o'clock. And then you would go along. And then the next day, if you went out at that hour, your shadow will be pointing at that spot, so you'll know what time of day it is, based on where it's pointed. And the other thing too is, if you happen to take a trip to the southern hemisphere, you'll actually base it off the South Pole, not the North Pole, because that's your closest pole, celestial pole. Yeah. So, because if you headed the other way, your shadows would end up weird. You could still pull the time by it. It wouldn't necessarily be as appropriate. Oh wow! I think that is such a simple thing to do.
And like you said, it's something that you could actually do on a camp, for example. So you know, you're going to be out and about anyway, so you could actually make it so that you do everything, you know, like you do an activity and then like, okay, it's the hour, everyone out there, mark your little times. That is, I think that's an amazing thing. I'm going to be doing this tomorrow. I'm going to be like sort of figuring out where is 12, where's 1, and so on and so forth.
If you want to think about how simple like something like this would be to do out in the field on a camp, in Canada we have a really big advantage of having lots and lots of maple trees, hence our maple leaf on our flag. You can actually take a big maple leaf, stick a stick through it, and you can actually use the leaf as your sundial, because you just need a flat surface and something to show a shadow. So one of the, as I said, we're going to discuss some of the more sophisticated concepts with the sundial. One of the things to make it even more precise is like we have this going straight up, which is acceptable. It's perfect. But if you know what your latitude is, like how far north you are on the actual globe, that will actually alter how your shadows will be cast. So there's actually a method where you would take 90 degrees and you would subtract your latitude degrees, and it'll actually cause your plane will stay flat, but your needle will be shifted, and so that will actually it'll be more accurate to where the sun's at in the sky. So it's kind of a neat, more precise method of developing the sundial.
That's ace. I love that. I think that's brilliant. Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. That is ace. If you like this video, then don't forget to obviously give it a thumbs up and share it around. Otherwise, I'll see you again soon for another one of these. Bye.